Be warned, there's major spoilers. Play the game, thank me later. Special shout out to SoulChris for letting me use their footage. Thanks, man. So I just had the privilege of beating Final Fantasy IX in the Muguri mod, and I can say that I understand why it's so high in the Final Fantasy pantheon. It really gets the fundamentals of a classic JRPG right. The characters are wonderful, the world is a joy to explore, and Nobuo Uematsu doesn't know how to make a bad song. I think the best pieces of art make us think, even if they don't give us the answers, and Final Fantasy IX does a lot of that. Of course, it's a game that's known to deal with heavy themes of existentialism, and that's something we'll talk about soon enough, but lots of the one-off character interactions were just as endearing as the major themes. Enough so that I had to take pictures to send my friends. I really felt connected to the world and characters, and also a lot about its message. I think juxtaposing the cute simple character models of Vivi and the other black mages, with them coming to grips with the fact that they were made only to be weapons of war, was really powerful. The quote that stood out the most to me though was when Mikoto asked Zidane if he found an answer to the point of living when everything was falling apart, to which Zidane replied, "No, but maybe the point is to just try." Final Fantasy IX really is a masterwork in world building and character development. The sense of childlike wonder was omnipresent in the game, and never felt forced or overplayed. I absolutely fell in love with the main four and thought the side characters were all charming in their own way, though Freya maybe could have gotten a bit more love. Either way, I'm super grateful to Square for making such an amazing game, which makes its mess of an ending all that more painful. I just want to say that game development must be nothing short of hell on earth. I completely empathize with any deadlines or constraints the team was going through, and whatever disappointment I feel isn't directed to the team whatsoever, just the sad reality of the ending of the game. But I just couldn't, in good faith, not mention how much of a cluster that ending felt to me. My main gripe is that too much happened too soon and too late. Now I understand that JRPGs aren't immune to this kind of 0 to 100 transition, from starting off as a kid on a farm to ending up as the new ruler of the universe. But it was especially painful to see a game as carefully crafted and beautifully written as FF9 fall prone to the same trap. I'm not sure if I'm more mad that the story ended up with Zidane learning he was the second of two biologically engineered angels of death to accelerate the loss of lives on one planet so that the souls of another planet that failed to merge with the original planet the first time can now take the place of the souls of the OG planet, with the first angel being too old at the time of their creation to be a truly successful vessel of destruction, so the second was created at 4 years old so he could experience the full range of human emotions to make him even more powerful destroyer of worlds. Or the fact that as quickly as the game explained itself, it just as quickly wraps itself up. We as the consumer get no time to simmer in the consequences of what this all means. Maybe I'd feel less ripped off if we got to see Zidane face this fact for longer, or see how the rest of the party, who grew so close to Zidane over time, help him come to grips with his own existence. The closest we get is a 10-minute sequence of Zidane acting emo and grouchy until he gets power of friendship back into his old merry self. Compare this to Garnet, whose journey of growth and self-discovery starts the moment she takes Zidane's dagger and decides that's the name she wants to go by. We get to see her witness her adoptive mother's death, becoming the Queen of Alexandria, and then seeing her kingdom destroyed. All paced well throughout the entirety of the game. Or even take Vivi, who discovers the horror of his reality very early, and spends the entirety of the game coming to grips with it. When Zidane discovers he too shares a similar existence to Vivi, we should have been given time for Zidane to retrospect with all the life coaching he gave Vivi, and see if he really agreed with everything he said now that he's going through the same thing, rather than commenting as a bystander. Instead, we get a disaster of a character arc that's shorter than half an anime filler episode. But what might be the most tragic byproduct of all of this is the abject failure in giving Kuja the spotlight he deserves. Kuja's motives are very human and understandable to an extent, given his quest for identity and rejection of the fate that Garland bestowed upon him. Just the fact that he hides his tail to reject his identity and assert his individuality is remarkably relatable. And even if I personally can't say I would destroy the world because I feel like it's unfair that I'm gonna die someday, it's still a very human and haunting aspect watching a character come to grips with his own mortality in real time. And maybe the Genome Ancient Civilization backdrop was the best vehicle to explain why Kuja is the way he is, but it all goes back to the sheer speed at which these revelations get introduced and subsequently resolved. I would have loved for Zidane and Kuja to have gotten more one-on-one time, reconciling their relationship and discussing how they view their fate. It could have gone more into detail into describing why the differences between Kuja and Zidane's upbringing is the reason why Kuja wants to exert his will over the people of Gaia, as opposed to Zidane wanting to protect them, with Zidane's tagline being, "You don't need a reason to help people," in spite of the fact that he was literally made to kill the people he chooses to help. And what hurts the most is that all of this could be remedied with a Disc 4 that could have matched the length of the other three. Disc 4 just had a short and sweet segment of the genomes integrating with the Black Mages, another short section in Memoria that felt totally underutilized, as its premise could have really developed all the main character arcs in a satisfying way, by going through their memories, and the memories of Gaia and its locations at large. Obligatory crystal is the source of life, a fight with Kuja that pretty much had no setup, and as if they wanted to max out the JRPG tropes, the secret final boss was God itself. Did they really need to add this? Come on. Was Kuja not enough? Like, 90% of the game was an offshoot Ghibli movie. And now they gotta pull this. This is exactly the problem with the ending. Now, if all these sections, the genomes in the Black Mage Village, the trek down Memoria, and the final confrontation with Kuja were doubled in length and content, then Disc 4 could have both been shorter than all the other 3 discs, while still giving us a satisfying conclusion. One that does the rest of the game, in all of its magnificence, justice. If Square does in fact remake the game, and there's just a single thing that I hope they can add, it's to further develop Zidane and Kuja's relationship. Given that they're both remarkably similar and different, both as genomes and personalities, there's just so much potential for theme and storytelling between the two that I feel like could be explored much further. Now I know this is a lot of negativity for a game I just spoke so highly about, but that's the whole point. Final Fantasy IX really is an incredible game that deserves an incredible ending, but none of this diminished the joy I had while playing the game. As I keep getting older, I feel like I get less moments of stillness where I can just get into a game without thinking of its opportunity cost. There's so many things battling for my attention, and I'm sure yours too, that it feels really good to just be able to immerse in a game and not think about anything else. And Final Fantasy IX really made me feel like I was making the best use of my time by playing it, because it really is a wonderful game. I just wish I could say it was perfect too.